Hello and welcome back to another Outlaw Troubleshooting where we do the troubleshooting so you don't have to. Today we're going to be talking about reasons why your clause that you made on your template might not be pulling in those Filevine connected fields. A lot of times when this happens, they turn red and they're actually not going to populate with any data from Filevine. So first things first, we are on our clause template here, and we need to make sure that over here in our clause library that we have this index so it will be searchable and usable on other templates. Something else to note with that is that wherever your template is built out, you do need to make sure that this is active, not in the draft stage, or else you won't be able to pull that into other templates. We're going to go down to this template here. We can go ahead and activate it. We're going to come on in here to edit this template. You can see I have already pulled this in. If you haven't pulled in a clause before, we can come here. We can go over here and search for the name that we gave this clause. I gave it the signature name. We just come here, select it, and you can see now that I have inserted it there. If I navigate over to my elements and then I go to my connected variables, I can see that the reference section was deleted or it's not connected properly. Technically, these are not showing up as red because they are in a, they're kind of grayed out because they are in a clause and you're not going to be able to edit it unless you unlink it. But if I unlink it here and then come down, and once it finished loading, you can see that we're getting this red underline here, which essentially means that that's not going to pull in. And they are also grayed out, so you can kind of notice that this is not what it typically looks like. They typically are like blue or teal, and they're kind of glowing. So a couple options that we have to troubleshoot this is that when we make a new template, you have to make sure that you do connect this back to Filevine. In order to do so, we need to come in here. You would select the project type. And then you also need to select the section that you want to connect this to. Basically, without making this connection to Filevine, you're not going to be able to actually reference those codes because technically this template isn't connected to Filevine. You can see as soon as I did that, all of the codes have now gone to blue or that glowing teal that we were talking about. So now if we come back here, we type in signature again, and we insert this time, you can see that they aren't going to be that underlined red anymore. You can see that they're showing through that teal, meaning that they are good to go. Another example is here we can see that even though this is grayed out and this is pulling in from a clause, you can see that this red underline, similar to what you would kind of see when something is misspelled, is red underneath there, basically meaning that we're not going to be able to pull in those data or that data option there. If I navigate over to connected, you can see that, these are all saying that they're missing. All of these little question marks basically mean they're missing the reference section. So if I come over here, I see that my template's still not set up, so I can come over, I can connect it here, and then I can also choose where I want this to be connected to. And then once we do that, you can see now that these are still pulling in red. So if that happens once you connect it, what we need to do, select this section. We need to go ahead and delete it. But don't worry, because this is a clause, we're going to be able to easily pull this back in. So let's go ahead and delete. We come in here, we're going to hit enter and go down to another paragraph. We're going to go over to our section and we're going to search for the second part of the certificate of service. So we're going to go ahead and enter that, select it. Perfect. Now you can see that these are glowing teal underneath there. Sometimes you have to click off of this paragraph and click into somewhere else before it will fix that issue essentially. So try that, before you're like, oh, this didn't work. Just make sure you kind of click off of that section so that it'll have time to kind of reset. But now we can see that the teal is pulling in there. So I hope these tips help and hopefully you won't have any more issues pulling in clauses.